It's going to be hard to separate my feelings about Chapter 2 Season 2 from the subsequent Season 3. I do these recap videos after the season is ended, both because I want to make sure that I write the video with the context of the entire season in mind, and because without the often huge amounts of context provided by a new season, the video would be completely dated within a week of release. In my Chapter 2 Season 1 video, I claimed that Season 2 looked to be a return to form, which was honestly quite an optimistic take. In truth, my first impressions of the season were quite poor. Honestly, it kind of seemed to do everything wrong. I recommend you watch my video on Chapter 2 Season 1 for additional context, but in that video I break down how the transition to Chapter 2 set Epic on the path to some very consumer-unfriendly practices, which only really became readily apparent after the first season dragged on for months and months. They absolutely doubled down on these practices in Season 2. The lowest hanging fruit to call out is of course the integration of sponsored content into the Battle Pass, which we'll come back to later, but that was just the beginning of the shenanigans this season. The first thing that irked me immediately was how this season handles factions. Factions were introduced in Season 1 in the form of Teams Alter and Team Ego. You started with the Ego forms of the Battle Pass skins, and you could unlock their Alter styles through challenges. This concept was carried over to Season 2 with Team Ego and Team Alter forming the subsidiary groups Ghost and Shadow. Except now, instead of being able to unlock both styles, you were forced to choose only one, with the other style becoming permanently locked. Why? Why am I forced to choose a style for each skin that I'll never be able to own myself? I mean, at least they actually decided to do something with it in the long run, turning it into a sort of voting system and using the results to determine the standing of the two factions in-game, but they could have easily come up with another way to accomplish the same thing that doesn't involve permanently locking these items from the Battle Pass from Battle Pass owners. Honestly, the entire UI of this season really bugged me. Recently, Fortnite has fallen into the same trap that many other companies and websites have also fallen into, which is to continually hit the streamline button on your UI in an attempt to make it look more sleek and modern. Of course, in doing this, they actually managed to do a complete 180 and somehow simplify things to the point of being complicated. Instead of having a simple and easy-to-use challenge tab, they introduced the challenge table, which made it way harder to find your challenges and figure out what you would get for doing them. They got rid of the colored backgrounds in the locker, and I hope we can all agree that it looks a lot worse, and they crammed the Free Pass and the Battle Pass into one line, so now nobody can tell them apart. It's not great. So, then there's the sponsored content. Oh goodness. Okay, so I don't have a problem with sponsored content in Fortnite as a concept. There was tons of sponsored content in Chapter 1, and I really enjoyed a lot of it, particularly in Seasons 1 through 9, where it was heavily relegated to LTMs and the item shop. It maybe started to get a little intrusive with the Batman and Borderlands crossovers in Season X, but hey, it fit with the theme of the season, so I rolled with it. Well, so far, it looks like all bets are off in Chapter 2. Season 1 ditched any story-related live event in favor of an absolutely atrocious Star Wars crossover, but that's nothing next to the crap they pulled in Season 2. They put Deadpool in the Battle Pass. You know, I probably would have even let it slide if it had have stopped there, but this goes so much deeper than a single skin. If you didn't know any better, I wouldn't blame you for thinking that this season was Deadpool themed. In addition to getting his own POI, complete with an obnoxious art style on the minimap, the battle bus and supply drop balloons were both changed to be Deadpool themed. At this point, we had moved well past the point of lighthearted cross-promotion and directly into ads having a sizable and canonical impact on the storyline. Though this might seem a bit odd to someone who's never played the game, Fortnite has a shockingly deep lore and interconnected storyline spanning years. Many people, myself included, have found ourselves deeply invested in this culture, a culture that felt like it was slowly being eroded away and sold off to the highest bidder. I feel like this kind of came to a head with the Travis Scott concert. For a bit of backstory, Chapter 2 Season 2 was yet another season full of extensions, month-long content droughts, and empty promises. But you see, Season 2 also took place smack dab in the middle of quarantine, meaning many of Epic's employees were working from home. To what extent this was actually responsible for the delays and lack of content is up for debate, of course, as Season 1 had the exact same problems and they had absolutely no good external reason to blame that time. But at the end of the day, it was what it was, and I feel like most people were content to wait it out for external factors to improve. Now, I don't want to dwell on the Travis Scott concert too much, because at the end of the day, Epic did still manage to give us an exceptional story-related event this season. But for Fortnite to drop such a high-quality sponsored live event in the middle of a season so devoid of other content felt like a slap in the face. So this is what you've been doing. I guess working from home isn't so hard when there's a sponsor involved, is it? So you're telling me you don't have the manpower to release a couple of existing LTMs or finally patch that stupid chest scanner bug, but you managed to scrape together the time to put on 5 showings of this. And that's not even covering what I personally consider to be by far Season 2's biggest issue, the experience system, which I have so much to say about. I made an entire video on that one topic. Go check it out. I'll put it up in the iCard. Well, here comes the part of the video where I'm glad I waited for Season 2 to end to write this, because it's time for the conclusion. I really don't know how to feel about Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 2. I mean, it was bad, definitely, just based on objective merit, but, like, how do I feel about it? To be honest, it seems like most of our impressions of Epic during Season 2 were wrong. I mean, at the end of the day, while there were still some downright unacceptable aspects of Season 2, a lot of the big ones can actually have the blame easily shifted away from Epic. And despite it all, they still managed to provide us with 2 awesome live events, one of which was story-related, probably the best balanced vehicle that has ever been in the game. Like, seriously, the chopper is so good, I hope it's never removed. And most importantly, it seems like unlike during Season 1, they legitimately used the downtime this season and put it into making Season 3 downright fantastic. However, I still feel like Epic deserved the criticism and hate they received during Season 2 for one simple reason: the crippling lack of communication. I hate that things have come to this point. Back in early Chapter 1, I used to consider Epic the paragon of communication and handling of community feedback. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. It would have taken very little effort for Epic to dispel any of the misconceptions floating around during Season 2, and yet they chose not to. Nowadays, Epic has kind of become like some sort of enigmatic entity to the Fortnite community. Nobody ever really seems to know what's going on in their heads or what might be next for the future of the game, and not in a mysterious, secretive kind of way like they seem to be going for at the beginning of Chapter 2. I just can't seem to muster up much sympathy over the fact that people were forced to try and put the pieces together themselves based on past behavior. I mean, I have the benefit of an entire season's worth of context in hindsight, and I still have no idea what was going through their heads when they made half the decisions they made in Season 2. Epic, if you're watching this and you need a social media guy, I'll do it. Seriously, I think you would be shocked by how much good sending out an occasional tweet that doesn't look like it was written by an AI designed to sell soft drinks might do for your image. With the release of Chapter 2 Season 3, Epic looks to be moving to put the mistakes of Season 2 behind them, and honestly, I am just as eager and willing to sweep this entire debacle under the rug and move on, under the condition that the game stays on its current trajectory and doesn't relapse into old habits. I guess the true verdict will be had in a few months when I recap Chapter 2 Season 3. And with that, I can finally stop making Fortnite videos for a while. I really enjoy making Fortnite videos. Hopefully you enjoy watching them. If you do, be sure to drop a like. Fun fact, only about 60% of my viewers are actually subscribed to my channel on average, which is actually a pretty good ratio for YouTube, but, you know, if you are part of that 40%, consider dropping a sub if you feel so inclined. It would really help. We are just really close to 500 subscribers. And obviously, follow me on social media. Comment down below. What did you think about Season 2? What do you think about Season 3? Join my Discord server. And I guess that's about all I've got for you today. As always, thanks for watching.